All right, Shalom. First and foremost, as always, I want to give all the praises, honor, and glory unto the Most High and His only begotten Son. Call Halayim La Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai Bahashem Rakak Radash. Double honors to the apostles and elders, great millstone who root and teach well. Wa Barakathon unto the hopeful elect. All right, now today through spirits will be a quick lesson entitled, uh, your family may not make it. And I'm speaking of your close. As a matter of fact, your household could possibly not make it. That's what I'm gonna name it, because the spirit had a lot of which really is the Lord, putting that vibration out there. A lot of brothers speaking on, saying, not thinking that your woman, your rib won't leave you, what I'm saying, or your family won't turn on you, which is certain brothers, they may have had their families be with them before their truth and all whatever, all types of aspects, or brothers have gotten a new family and they came into the truth with them. But the spirit has been heavy on brothers speaking about man, don't think your family gonna make it. And I've heard it on different. That's the Lord putting that vibration out there. I've heard it on different brothers' videos and actually in person, brothers speaking about it. So the spirit is actually having that come out because we're in that time period where the demons are getting ramped up, and it's gonna be so bad out here in the sight of things that it's gonna look like there's no hope. And we already know the Lord is really ultimately just giving a true faith into His men to be able to endure all the things that the tribulation the Lord's gonna bring. And a lot of brothers' families are not gonna stick with that man. Okay, so which ultimately is us. It's gonna be a lot of betrayal happening, or one family will leave because that tribulation is gonna be so bad. All right, that love is gonna wax cold, and that's according to prophecy, and we know that that's gonna be the case for a majority, of brothers' walks. Now, certain brothers, their family may stick with them, but most of them are not. So that's what we got. That's what through spirit. I want to just touch on that real quick. And also I had a vision that basically went in, showed that. I'm a younger brother, and I happen to move back, with my father. So my fleshly father moved back. My fleshly father, and had a dream where his woman had sold me out, his ribs. So basically, the military came looking for me, and it was the tribulation that got ramped up. And it was real bad to the point where they wanted anybody who didn't get C-hipped. They was on it. And they surrounded the house and came, and they asked her where they said my government name, where is this guy? And then she wasn't trying to answer, but they was getting ready to batter. They was like, we're gonna bust his door open if you don't tell us where you at and all that. And then she just straight up just told him. You know what I mean? I looked outside and I tried to find a way to escape. But to summarize the vision, I ended up getting confronted by them, and then as they were coming in, they all had these different weapons and stuff. I just prayed to the Lord, and the Lord ended up giving me power in the vision. But that vision shows you that we're gonna get sold out by those of our close household. They're gonna their mindset isn't towards majority of their mindset isn't geared towards the kingdom. You know what I'm saying? They're looking at the sight of things. They weren't gifted with faith, that sight, that foresight that you see of the kingdom and everything. They don't really have faith like that. So, what I'm saying? Don't be surprised when, stuff happens that are along those lines. Your direct close relatives just sell you out like that. Brothers have had all types of visions on it, but that was just one of mine. I've had many more. But that example showed they didn't even bust the door open. They didn't do anything, no threatening or nothing. She straight up just told them where I was at. And the crazy thing is, in the vision, I knew it was gonna happen like that. I was like, man, she gonna sell me out, and then boom. So that's how it's gonna be. The foes are gonna be of your own household, and there's also gonna be demonic stuff happening, before the tribulation happens. Like family, or these spirits are, having brothers' families be against them, man. But that's just part of this battle, man. But I'm gonna go and go into the scriptures now. This is Matthew chapter 10 and verse 34. It says, "Think not that I come to send peace on earth. I came not to send peace, but a sword." And that's what the Lord is doing. When He ultimately comes back. And also, so that's whenever the Lord comes back. But not even just when he comes back. Before he comes back, it's going to be all types of judgment and tribulation happening. You see what I'm saying? It's going to be all types of wickedness and, evils that the Lord has was going to put on this planet Earth, before he returns. Which are different aspects of being a sword. A sword is an instrument to destroy. So all types of instruments to destroy or evils is going to be on this planet Earth before he returns. Verse 35 says, I have come to set a man at variance against his father, and daughter against her mother, and daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. Verse 36, and a man's foes shall be they of his own household, which ultimately Yahushua was quoting, Micah the 7th chapter, which I have that too. Because it's not going to be whenever this tribulation happens, you see when the Lord ramps things up, it's not going to be no family and all that love that, you thought you had. It's because everybody's going to show their true colors. Now, certain brothers' families may, stick around, but most are not. And this is according to prophecy. Most brothers' families are not going to make it. You know what I'm saying? So you got to have that in our mind, which is hard, but that's just what it is. I've even had visions of a lot of my family. I had visions of, family members not making it. I've actually seen them in a vision not make it. So we gotta have it in our mind that most of our family is not gonna make it, man. So that's just the reality. Matthew chapter 10 and Matthew chapter 24 and verse 10, it reads, and then shall many be offended and shall betray one another and shall hate one another, which we're seeing happening now. This is gonna happen amongst households too. It says, and many false prophets shall rise and deceive many, which we're seeing that, false visions, saying, breaking down the scriptures incorrectly, trying to go against, do as they're doing as they want to do versus going just doing what the Lord, being down with the Lord's will is. They're trying to establish their own will. But this verse 12 is the point. And because iniquity shall abound, so all these sins upon sins being pushed out, the love of many shall wax cold, because what happens when sin gets brought into the world? Death and destruction and evils. You see, and that's what's happening. The love of many is waxing cold. So, that's the time period we're approaching. That's the reality. So we have to be in that spirit, understanding that. Your only true family is those that are inside of this truth. As a matter of fact, let's get that in the scriptures. You see, because Yahushua said that. Your only true family is going to be the body, those that are serving the Lord. If they're not serving the Lord, then that's not really a true family, man. The Lord's going to be able to show that now. This is Matthew chapter 12 and verse 50. Matter of fact, Matthew chapter 12 and verse 49. And this is when Yahushua was speaking, into his family and also the people that the disciples were around too. And he basically was telling them that the people who are my true family is those that are doing the Lord's will. Not my actual fleshly mother and family and stuff. No, my family is those that are serving the Lord. Because that goes deep. Because the governing body, they was with each other, in the beginning, creating everything, man. With the Messiah, with the Lord. And then on top of that, we've had many past carnations. The souls that are just, the souls of the prophets are just, the subjects of the prophets that are just. And they've always been one of the Lord's. You know what I'm saying? So that's the reality. Let's get into the scriptures, though. This is Matthew chapter 12 and verse 49 and 50. It says, and he stretched forth his hand toward his disciples and said, behold, my mother and my brethren. So he said, this is my family. He says, 50, for whosoever shall do the will of my Father, which is in heaven, the same is my brother and sister and mother. So he said those that are serving the Lord, who are doing the Lord's will, that's my brethren, not my actual family. He actually left his actual family to be with the disciples. All right. Now let's continue on. This is Matthew chapter 7 and verse 5 through 7. It reads, trust ye not in a friend, put ye not confidence in a guide. Keep the doors of thy mouth from her that lieth in thy bosom. You know what I'm saying? So it says, trust not a friend. Also, trust not your woman. Okay. That's basically what it says. Get that in the NLT real quick. Matthew 7 and 5. You know what I'm saying? You can't think that your family is going to make it or think that your family ain't going to, but this family's going to be selling them out. Micah 7 and verse 5. Don't trust anyone, not your best friend or even your wife. Okay? So that's the time period we're approaching. We got to be in that spirit. Verse 6, it reads, "For the son dishonoreth the father, the daughter rises up against her mother, the daughter-in-law rises up against her mother-in-law, and a man's enemies are going to be there of his own household." Okay? So that's what we're getting ready to see. Your enemies are going to be those of your own household. So that's what the scriptures say. So we have to deal with reality. The reality is a lot of people's families and people are not going to make it. They're actually going to sell you out. All right, now I want to get these last couple. This is 1 Corinthians chapter 7 and verse 29. "But this I say," this speaking about, this is what Paul spoke to church in Corinth. And, he basically recommended them not to be with no woman. But, say if you do got one, then, it's a certain spirit you got to be in. And he said this back then, but how much more now? When the evils in the time period we're in now is way more worse than it was back then. But this is reading 1 Corinthians 7 and 29. "But this I say, brethren, the time is short, it remaineth, that both they that have wives be as though they had none." Okay? So we got to be in a spirit of like, man, this is all temporary. We got to be laser focused on the kingdom and not get into anything in this world because it can take you out. This is Luke chapter 17 and verse 32. "Remember Lot's wife." Okay? That scripture is very heavy. Remember Lot's wife. His wife looked back and she got what? Destroyed with Sodom and Gomorrah. And Lot had to just let her go. You see? And that's what we're gonna have to. That's what's gonna be the case with the majority of your brothers and their families. You're gonna have to let them go, which is hard. And then speaking to myself first and foremost, in the vision I kind of had in the dream, I was kind of like, dang, man, but I had to let it go. And that's how it's gonna be in the reality. That's why we gotta make sure the Lord keep our mind right so we'll be able to do that. This is verse 33. "Whosoever shall seek to save his life shall lose it, and whosoever shall lose his life shall preserve it." So let go of all those things. Verse 34, "I tell you, in the night there shall be two men in one bed, and the one shall be taken and the other shall be left." Verse 35, "Two women shall be grinding together, one shall be taken and the other left." Right? Verse 36, "Two shall be in the field, and one shall be taken and the other shall be left," which is showing you that the Lord is not going to be dealing with everybody. You see what I'm saying? So it's only going to be a couple that's going to be the remnant, the elect. Everybody's not of the elect. Okay? But on the flip side, to wrap this thing up, there's beauty to it because everything we lose for Yahweh Shem Shai, he's going to give us that in 100-fold. All right, and I have two scriptures to prove that, and then we're going to wrap this lesson up, man. But you got to realize that, hey, man, most brothers' families are not going to make it. That's the reality. Okay? This is Matthew 19 and verse 29. "Everyone that hath forsaken houses or brethren or sisters or father or mother or wife or children or lands for my name's sake," so you do it for the sake of serving the Lord, for Yahweh Shem Shai. You let go of houses or whatever constellation or whatever things you had, things that was your own will, to do the Father's will, right? It says, "shall receive 100-fold and shall inherit everlasting life." Okay? So you're gonna receive 100-folds for everything you got, and the Lord will give you back whatever you took away, whatever you forsook, which really was just a test. He gonna give it back anyway. If brothers' families don't make it, the Lord let's say the Lord take him out on this side, he'll give him back to you and 100-fold. You're gonna get them and multiply that, like he did with Job. And that's why I'm gonna get this. This is Job chapter 42 and verse 12. "So Yahweh will bless the latter end of Job more than his beginning." This is after Job had kept his integrity. He stayed whole, until the Lord was done testing him or trying him out, allowing Satan to tempt him. The Lord was testing Job's faith. But it says he allowed Satan to tempt him so he can test Job's faith. It says, "For he had 14,000 sheep and 6,000 camels and 1,000 yoke of oxen and 1,000 she asses. He also had 7 sons and 3 daughters. He called the name of the first Jemima, and the name of the second Keziah, and the name of the third Kerenapuk." It says, "And in all the land there were no woman found so fair, the daughters of Job, and their father gave them an inheritance among their brethren." So the Lord hooked Job up. And let's see verse 16. It says, "After this Job lived 140 years and saw his sons and his sons' sons, even 4 generations. So Job died, being old and full of days." So he got to see his sons in reincarnation. But the Lord gave Job way more than he had in the beginning. His sheep and all his substance and everything. Okay, so so that same things that happen with us, we're If we're serving the Lord like Job did, man, so if we continue, the Lord's going to do the same thing. But we got to be ready to let go of our families if we have to. And don't think that it can't happen. All right, but anyways, that's the point, man. Lord willing, this was edifying. I'm going to end it off by saying, Call halal, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. And until next time, Shalom. Your apostle is Great Millstone.